We'll get going.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Let's get going. We are already pretty late. Why is this doing this? Yeah, I finished doing St. Thomas Aquinas uh, and his system of law and the subterfuge that he uses uh, to prove that human rationality is okay, but divine reasoning is even more important in that fourfold classification of laws that St. Thomas Aquinas did carried out. So let's go to an introduction to Machiavelli now. But before we start talking about Machiavelli, we have to start a little bit, we have to talk a little bit about the partisans of the Imperium. Uh, if you remember, I told you that the partisans of the Imperium by and large remained remained anonymous because they were afraid of the nature of punishments that would be given out, told out to them. Okay, so when they were actually doing this, they kept to themselves, and what they also tried to do is what they also tried to do was to further the oh, sorry, I'm in a lot of pain. um, just give me a minute. So just give me a minute, please. I'm unable to breathe because of a catch in the side. Sorry, I don't know. This pain is not going to go. Let's see how long I'll. What is this? Yeah, the partisans of the Imperium largely remained anonymous because of the fact that they feared the punishment that would be meted out to them by the church uh, for defending the Imperium and for asking that you should not uh, you should not uh, club the Imperium and the Sacerdotium together, that the Sacerdotium should be separate realm and that the Imperium should be a separate realm. But one of the biggest flaws that existed in their uh, system of thought was when they had to identify okay, see, for people to accept everything or anything, there has to be a principle of legitimizing, or it can also be called a principle of legitimation. It can be called either one of these two things. Now, if you're going to be talking about a principle of legitimation, uh, legitimacy actually is the basis for legality. Okay, something that is legitimate is also legal, right? It's a funny word, this uh, legitimacy. It is a funny word because at one level, what it does is that it brings into the equation of things the concept of it brings into the equation of things the concept of legality. Legal gets derived out of legitimate, but at the same time, legitimate in the later periods of time became something that had the backing of legality. Okay, so it became a word which was um, dual-edged. When I say it became a word which was dual-edged, uh, it uh, basically means that it was first the basis of legality, and then it became based in legality. So that is how you look at the principle of legitimacy. And I think while doing Habermas, I had quoted the legitimation deficit that he talks about, which is, when people do not accept authority. If there is a legitimation deficit, people do not accept authority. And if the legitimation deficit increases beyond a certain boundary, then what happens is that it is no longer just a deficit. Nobody knows where you can draw the boundary. It only keeps evolving with different situations. Uh, so, what we find is that the legitimation deficit, when it reaches a critical mass, then it stops being a legitimation deficit and it turns into that which is called a legitimation crisis. Okay, and if you look at, say, we've always had a legitimation deficit in the northeastern part of the country, of our country, that is. They were never too keen on being a part of the Indian state, and they always wanted some kind of autonomy or independence. Then, of course, we have the glaring example of Kashmir. Now, the use of force in Kashmir, especially, shows a legitimation crisis, because Habermas says uh, when there is a legitimation crisis, the state, for its own survival and to reinforce its authority, it turns to severe, moderate or severe coercion, depending upon uh, what the situation is. Okay, so right now, the situation that we have in the situation that we have in Kashmir is the demanding severe coercion with the abolition of the Article 370. So the coercive apparatus of the state is that which swings into action whenever there is a legitimation crisis. So legitimacy is an extremely important principle for the acceptance of authority. Now, if you remember your story, The Prince and the Pauper, actually in that there is a bit of a um little bit of an irony, okay, about why a prince should be a prince and why a pauper, P-A-U-P-E-R, a poor man, uh, should be a pauper. So that irony is brought out in changing the roles, where the where you have where you clearly have uh, the what should we say, the prince becoming the pauper for a day and the pauper becoming the prince for a day. It seems like a story for small children, but it has a huge moral content. Sorry, that's the correct pronunciation. It has a big moral content in it, which is on what basis does somebody become a prince, and on what basis does somebody become a pauper. Okay, now the pauper bit is probably not too difficult to explain, but how do you become a prince? And when I told you the story of William, no, we'll continue. We'll continue. So, if these people are in, I mean, how does
Sir, you
somebody,
said William.
sorry,
You said something about William and you.
yeah, I was going to say William and Mary of Orange, they, their basic concern after the deposition of, or deposing, sorry, not deposition, deposition is legal, deposing of the Stuart kings, uh, especially James II, and when William and Mary of Orange, these people, when they were asked to come over, they raised a question. Uh, how are you going to legitimize our rule? What is the guarantee that you won't kick us out like you did the Stuarts? What is the guarantee? And that is when we see that people, that is when we see that people, um, that is when we see that people gave up their rights in accordance with the Hobbesian theory of surrendering of rights. They said, by surrendering our rights to you, we are ensuring. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! So, so the point is that, uh, oh my God, Maya, close the door, please. Yeah, they, yeah, they said we will make your sovereignty legitimate by surrendering our rights to you. So that's how they made them legitimate. Today, how are people legitimate? Today, people are legitimate because of elections. And I'm talking about a parliamentary system. In a parliamentary system, people are legitimate because of the fact that they have been elected to the parliament by the people. But please remember, in this also, there is one particular problem, which is a problem of democracy, which I have discussed with you. So I'm not going to go into the details of that. Um, what you should understand and remember is that we don't elect the prime minister directly, do we? The prime minister is elected by the party. It is elected by the party that has a majority in the parliament. And therefore, that person becomes the prime minister. Now, within, let us for a moment, let us for a moment say that I'm a supporter of the BJP. I might not be very happy with this idea that Narendra Modi has become the prime minister of the country as a supporter of the BJP. If I voted for the BJP, well, I've never voted in my life. Okay, I've never voted in my life. Uh, and but this is a hypothetical example, and in this example, I might have wanted LK Advani to be the prime minister. I might have seen him along with uh, Atal Bihari Vajpayee as the architect of building the the BJP into a party that can now form a government on its own. Not many years ago, less than 30 years ago, the BJP was a party that was getting 2 or 3 seats. One was for Vajpayee, one for LK Advani, and the other, well, whoever, some chap by fluke. If he won, he won. But otherwise, technically, its representation was only 2 people or 3 people at most. Now it is 330 people. So that building up was not done by Modi, I might argue. I might say that this was done by Vajpayee, who very successfully ran 2 coalitions of the NDA. And I would have thought that after Vajpayee's passing, maybe LK Advani should be given the chance uh, to become the prime minister. So even if I'm a supporter of the BJP party, it doesn't automatically follow that I am endorsing the prime ministership of Narendra Modi. And there may be many people like this. I am not one of them. I don't support that party. I don't support any party and don't support any leader. I believe that this is a nation which has a number of intelligent and qualified people who do not even get a chance to participate in the elections. These are people who are completely marginalized, and those who have the backing of goons and thugs. These are the people who contest the elections. Paul R. Brass wrote a book on this about how Indian democracy is run by antisocial elements. And though it hurt my pride as an Indian, there's no denying the truth of the argument. There's no denying the truth of that argument. It is run by antisocial elements. There are various mafias. But Paul R. Brass should also understand that his country is no less run by mafias. America, which is even worse than us. I don't want to repeat that story of American democracy, which is not even a democracy. It's an eyewash. I really don't know why Americans are so stupid that they can't even see that they don't have a democracy. So, taking these into consideration, you have to understand that a legitimation principle is required, and that has to be accepted by the people. If the Americans accept 538 people electing the president as legitimate, good for them. Well, who are we to complain? But when you're invoking the divine right, how are you going to legitimate? How are you going to say God ordained that so and so be king? How are you going to legitimate that? So you have a legitimation crisis right there. And the legitimation crisis is something that goes to a next level, a higher level, when basically, when basically people from the church start making claims that, listen, the church is the representation of God on earth, and God is a true monarch, and we are the representatives of God on earth. The Pope is the highest religious figure, and so we should we should possibly we should have the church ruling, and not we shouldn't have uh, the rule of the kings. So by invoking the divine right principle, the partisans of the imperium shot themselves in their foot, completely shot themselves in their foot. And that's why they failed. The domination of the church continued. But this story, which is seemingly straightforward, seemingly straightforward, has a little twist. The other day, I talked to you about uh, I talked to you about friars. See, friars are to be understood. Okay, by definition, when we talk of friars, we uh, we are talking about a group of men uh, who constitute an order as in a group with rules and regulations, and these are also most of these. I pointed out four groups. All groups are not mendicants, but the four groups that I had pointed out to you are mendicants. If you remember, mendicant is one who asks for alms. Don't look at the dictionary and say it says begging. Okay, mendicant is used in the context of various different, like the sannyasins in India were mendicants. So the Buddhists, the Buddhists were mendicants. Okay, that whole thing of they're going around with a bowl and asking for food. There were Brahmin mendicants, there were Jain mendicants, there were Buddhist mendicants. Similarly, even in Christianity, there were many mendicants. There were many mendicants, and the four orders that I talked to you about, the Augustinian, I'm not going to write order because it'll take up too many. It'll take too much time. No space. Carmelian, Dominican, and Franciscan. These are the orders which are mendicant. Augustinians, if you read Charles Taylor, he never calls Augustine Saint Augustine. He only calls him Augustine of Hippo because Augustine came from a place called Hippo, which is not in Greece. So he calls him only Augustine of Hippo. He's irreverent that way, Charles Taylor. Uh, he doesn't believe that these people should be addressed to by their saintly thing. He said, no human being performs any miracles, and there's nothing uh, saintly about any of these people. Well, but St. Francis of Assisi, and I told you, Dominican comes from Saint Dominic, but I don't know from whom Carmelian comes. Uh, as far as I know, uh, Carmel is a mount, and how is it called a Carmelian? This thing I still haven't found out. Maybe by the time I finish with this course, I'll be able to tell you. Okay, and so among all these, the Franciscans were very active, mainly because of the fact that Saint Francis himself, Saint Francis of Assisi, ASSI, Saint Francis of Assisi was the person who traveled the world at a time when it was very difficult to travel the world. And I told you, much before colonialism and all that things happened, much before Vasco da Gama happened, Francis of Assisi did land up on the Indian shores. So, what we see, therefore, is that the Franciscan order, among all these four mendicant orders, was the most popular, as in it was the most well known, and it was also respected because of St. Francis of Assisi's efforts. And it, this is just an aside, it really stumps me completely that way back in the 11th century, There was a pope who was called Pope John the 24th or 22nd. I don't remember that, but it's either 22nd or 24th in the 11th century. And then you had, I don't know, probably a zillion Pope Piuses. I know there were 6 Pope Pauls. There were there were 2 John Pauls. The John Paul, John Paul the first died in a month, and then Cardinal Karol Wojtyła, sorry, a Polish cardinal became John Paul II, and he reigned for a very long time before being replaced by Pope Benedict the 16th, who for some reason decided to resign. He's one of the very, very few popes who gave up the papacy. It's called papacy because Papa, il Papa, and so he gave up the papacy, relinquished it. Benedict the 16th. I forget he's German. I knew his name till a minute ago. And Ratzinger, yeah, that was his name. His original name was Ratzinger. None of these people, when they become pope, the name that they take on, none of those names are uh, their actual names. They take on a name once they become a pope. Now, after Cardinal Ratzinger became Pope Benedict the 16th and gave up the papacy, we have Pope Francis. And what fascinated me is that I went to a Catholic school, and on my own, I attended classes in catechism to learn about what Christianity was. I was very interested in these kind of things, this religion, comparative religion. I don't know, that is there in me right from my childhood. So I went to uh, the catechism classes where everybody was singing praises of St. Francis of Assisi. But I was very surprised when the new Pope took the name St. Francis, and he's the first person ever in all these centuries to take on the name of Francis. The first person ever. Nobody has taken on the name of Dominic. Nobody has taken on the name of Saint Dominic. I really don't know why. So I've been trying to get a permission to do a little bit of research in the theological and theosophical college that is there in Bangalore. I tried through some connections that I know, but they think that I am one of those people who wants to do this to disgrace uh, Christianity. They think I'm one of those. And I've been trying to tell them no. I'm doing it out of genuine interest, but they're not giving me permission for that. So, but I'll try. Let's see. If not today, it may happen tomorrow. So that is just an aside, a very long aside. Come to think of it, now from among the Franciscan friars, the two outstanding Franciscan friars who supported the separation of the uh, Sacerdotium from the Imperium were Marsilius of Padua and William Why did I remove that? Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm writing with the Z spelling. Uh, William of the original spelling is this Occam, then it became Ockam and Ockham. William of Ockam. If you find yourself looking at any, if you find yourself looking at any of these, uh, what should I say, principles, so any of these spellings, then please remember that they all mean the same. Okay. uh, Please give me a minute. I've just got this very bad spasm. Yeah. Akshay,
Sir,
do you know the This is not. Ouch. This is where. Oh, Jesus. Feel like crying. Why are these tools so horrible? I hope you remember the other spellings. Okay, I'll put. Have you heard of the Occam's razor?
No, sir.
I thought you were the Panditji of the group.
No, sir.
Hmm?
I am not.
You're not. You're not Panditji, um, or are you not? No. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. Mm, um, oh Jesus! What are all these things coming up? The principle is called. Um, Occam's razor is also called the rule of parsimony. Some people call it. Some people call it the law of parsimony. It's not a law. Please remember that law. Oh God. Sarika Roy went for a walk and came back. Okay. So the Occam's razor or the rule of parsimony, not the law of parsimony. He is not entitled to make laws. Okay. So it's not the law. So what is parsimony? Anybody?
Selfish.
Selfish.
No, sir. Miser.
Miser. No. Well, it relates, but no. No. It is.
Greediness.
No, no. It's actually a good principle. Parsimony is thrift. You've heard of thrift? Not being lavish is thriftiness. Okay, leading, it also can mean simplicity. Oh, wow. It can also mean simplicity, leading a simple life, thrifty life, where you're not given to lavishness. Okay, the actual import. Yeah, the actual import of Occam's razor is do not multiply. When you say entities, it's anything. Of late, I've been watching too much of horror movies. It's become an addiction. Um, and I think I saw all the seasons of that. What was that serial called? Supernatural. Okay, and they refer to demonic entities and things like that, right? So, not demonic entities or ghostly entities. An entity can be anything, it's an object, okay? It's an object which is an entity. He is basically saying, do not multiply the number, which is, something like what the Buddha said. He said, acquisitiveness. Acquisitiveness, he said, does not bring happiness. We think it brings happiness, but very much to the contrary. Uh, Acquisitiveness or acquiring more and more things causes problems, makes you lose your peace of mind. So, Occam's razor is something like that. Live a simple life. Don't try to live a life of luxury, a life of riches. don't try to live a life like that. Live a simple, parsimonious life. Very funnily, very funnily, other than Akshay, is anybody still here?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Other than Occam's razor, you find this principle or rule of parsimony enunciated in uh, the Quran. Okay, uh, I have two versions of the Quran. There are slight differences in both those versions, but both versions are absolutely unequivocal when they talk about the principle of parsimony. The Quran basically tells people not to pursue luxuries, not to pursue riches, not to deviate from the path of righteousness. So there is a word in Urdu, pabandi. The Quran advocates various different kinds of pabandis, and it says that one must be satisfied with what they have. And it also says, as the head of the family, it is the duty of that person to ensure that he earns enough. He earns enough. That is the key phrase. That a person earns enough to feed, clothe, and take care of his family. It says the pursuit of riches, the pursuit of lavish, luxurious lifestyles is not a good thing. The Quran basically asks people to live a life of thriftiness. So Occam's razor is actually a principle in the Quran. I'm not saying that it was borrowed from Occam. I'm just saying there is a comparative. If you compare, there is a similarity there. I'm not saying this has been taken from Occam and put into the Quran. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that there is an equivalent of the Occam's razor in the Quran as well. And that is the reason why you will find Muslims not particularly pursuing very, very ambitious things. They don't. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And from my own experience, I have seen that most of the people who do various kinds of work in various different fields are Muslims. The people that I rely on, the people that I rely on for my own well being and for the well being of my family are basically Muslims. They are simple people. There is no deceit, they don't cheat you. There might be exceptions. There are exceptions to every rule. This is in stark contrast to the Protestant ethic, which we'll talk about later. The Protestant ethic. The Protestant ethic asks you to go and amass money. Go and amass money. That's what the Protestant ethic does. That is what it does. But nothing in the Quran tells you that you have to amass money. So, and people are contented, they are satisfied with what they have, with what they have. And I've been learning quite a bit of the Quran because my driver is a Hafiz. A Hafiz is one who knows the Quran by heart, and he also is somebody who knows how to interpret the sunnahs that are there in the Quran. A Hafiz is basically that. So whenever I have some doubts, I ask my driver. He is also my teacher. So this particular principle is there in a different form in the Quran. Now, William of Occam used this particular principle to say the church should not multiply its responsibilities. Why are we talking of the Occam's razor? If that is the question, the answer to that is we are talking of Occam's razor because he also used it in the context of miracles. I don't want to get into that now, okay, because we don't need it. We really don't need that bit right now, and I'm in too much of pain anyway to get into that diversion. It is a diversion. Oh, so he used the Occam's razor and the principle of parsimony to tell the church. And incidentally, he is from William of Occam. He belonged to Scotland, and his inspiration his inspiration is John Dun Scotus. Okay, this man is his inspiration, and Dun Scotus, as he is popularly called, is not the person who goes by the name of John Scotus. I hope I've got that spelling right. Now, all these people are Scotsmen. Okay, John Scotus, Erigiena, it is pronounced, I'm told. I'm not sure. I really hope I've got that uh, spelling correct. I think that is the correct spelling. Uh, he precedes John Dun Scotus. The funny thing is that his name is not John Dun Scotus. His name is also John Scotus. So both these people have the same name. Erigiena or Erigiuena, as some people want to say. I don't know which of the pronunciations is correct because of the immensely stupid nature of the English language. Erigiuena or Erigiuena is what some people say. Erigiuena. I don't know. So that is a place from where he came. So his name is John Scotus, and he came from Erigiuena. Now, John Dun Scotus is also John Scotus, And what am I typing?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
You said that John belongs to Erigiuena, the
One
place of
of them.
Erigiuena.
One of them. John Scotus, who has Erigiuena at the end, he is the one who belongs to that place. Whereas John Scotus, and here we have a problem. Please avoid reading this and. Please avoid reading that and. John's Duns Scotus actually is from a place called Dun in Scotland. Okay, so instead of putting the Dun at the end of his name, like say Erigiena did with his, ideally he should have put his name as John Scotus Dun. But John Scotus feared that people may drop the Dun. Like I said, Augustine, of Hippo. Nobody calls him that. So he wanted to make sure that uh, he wouldn't be confused with the other John Scotus who preceded him in time. And therefore, he put Dun as the middle name, John Dun Scotus. And because he did that, people just now call him Dun Scotus. Nobody calls him John Dun Scotus. It is very, very rare to find anybody. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. So, okay. So now he's only called Dun Scotus, but that's not his name. His name is John Scotus of Dun, but he preferred this. This principle of thriftiness was actually first preached by Dun Scotus, but it was uh, no, no, but it was. Why are these dogs left in this room? No, yeah. So, oh my God, come here. So, if you're talking about, if you're if you're sorry, I'm very sorry about this. So if you're talking about Duns Scotus, his importance is that he was the one who first proposed the principle of parsimony. He didn't call it a rule. He said one should live a life of simplicity. Now, I don't know how true this is because some people claim that Duns Scotus said this, and this is the basis of Ockham's razor. Duns Scotus is supposed to have said, if you take a phenomenon, if you take a phenomenon, the truest, okay, the truest explanation will be that which is the simplest. Okay. Now, some people attribute this to William of Ockham. That is not true. That is not true. William of Ockham didn't put this one. What I put there is verbatim translation, of course, because he wrote in ancient Scot or medieval Scottish language, not a. So that's why I put it in inverted commas, because that is the. I've quoted him verbatim. Some people say this is the Occam's razor, which it is not. This is what is supposed to have been said by Duns Scotus, and that is what inspired Occam to come out with his rule of parsimony and uh, the Occam's razor, both of which are ultimately the same. But there is a component in that which is a component of miracles. I don't want to go into that, then I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay, so enough of William and the various John Scotters. What do you call them? Scotti? I don't know. Okay, let me just finish this. The other one is Marsilius of Padua in Italy, and he is also called Marsilio, which will be Italian, because three languages in the world have all things ending with vowel sounds. 3 languages. Can you name which are the 3 languages? They end, everything that you say ends in a vowel sound. One is, hello, is anybody there?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So do you know which are the, one is Italian, the other two?
No, sir.
No?
No, we don't know.
Which is the language which is called the Italian of the East?
Telugu.
Yeah. Even in Telugu, there was some rule, I don't remember. Do, mo, pradhama, vibhaktulu or something.
Dumulu.
Hmm?
Dumulu. Pradama Vibhakti.
Whatever. My Telugu is very bad. Please forgive me for that. But everything in Telugu ends with a vowel sound. And the third language is Japanese. Though they do have some sounds, when they're translated into English, they do end with uh, a consonant kind of a thing. But I'm told when they speak it in Japanese itself, then uh, it all ends with a vowel sound. Okay. So one spelling of Marsilio is this, but Bertrand Russell uses this spelling. Marsiglio, it is written, but it is still pronounced Marsilio. Okay, it is still pronounced Marsilio. The best way out of any possible controversy is go to the Latin version, call him Marsilius. There is only one spelling, Marsilius, right? So Marsilius of Padua also, since he lived in Italy and was close to the St. Peter's Cathedral, which is the headquarters of the church then, this church still hadn't split. He found the church doing too many things in the temporal realm, like governance and all that, and he didn't particularly like it. He didn't particularly like it. He expressed his resentment very, very clearly with the church's involvement in things which are temporal. He basically expressed his resentment. And he said, this is not the way the church was supposed to be. So I believe, and I don't know how true this is, there is the saying, leave unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? Some people attribute that to Marsilius of Padua. He's supposed to have told the church, leave unto Caesar what is Caesar's. When he's talking about what is Caesar's, what he's talking about is the duties of the Caesar, By then, Caesar was no longer a surname, it became the designation for the Roman emperors. So he's supposed to have said this: leave unto Caesar what is his. And this involvement, no, not involvement, yeah, right, involvement of William and Marsilius. Actually, it was Marsilius first and then William. Uh, in the Sacerdotium, okay, so Marsilius of Padua and William, these are people of the church. They are of the Franciscan order was the biggest among all the orders. And since they came from that, it emboldened a number of people in Italy to demand that the church withdraw from matters temporal. There were people like Savonarola, there were people like Guicciardini, and then, of course, Machiavelli. So, if I'm alive, I'll see you in the evening and finish off Charles Taylor's Sources of the Self today. Hopefully, it won't take too long. And tomorrow, for this, we do Machiavelli. And Machiavelli is not too difficult and it won't take too long. Then, because of the fact that I'm in pain and I'm in and out, I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. Did I speak any rubbish?
No,
Because,
sir.
no, because I don't know. I'm going in and out of the. Anyway, so this evening we'll do that Charles Taylor thing. Tomorrow we'll do Machiavelli. And tomorrow evening I want to pick up Orientalism of Edward Said. Okay? So the evening classes are your political ideologies classes. They are not classes that I'm teaching for fun. So I request you to attend them because you won't get too much material on these kind of people. Especially if you go to Dorkin, you're finished. Okay? So thank you very much. Sorry if I have been a very bad lecturer today. It wasn't my intention. But I just didn't want to cancel the class because then this will come back and bite me tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
So,
see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Freshta.
Goodbye.